What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Try Time Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Callum and I am here on my own today. It's just me, no Matt. But first, before we get into today's topic, I just thought I'd cover sort of what's been on maybe a few of you fans' mind is where have we been over the last month? Because after lockdown, we came back, we did some good podcasts, some good Saturday videos as well. We were really I thought we were smashing it, doing really well. And then we sort of just fell off the face of YouTube, and that is due to local lockdown. I wasn't able to travel to the location. We weren't really allowed to meet, and obviously we didn't want to break them rules, especially when it's all online and everything like that. We just thought it's not worth it, and we didn't want to continue it sort of online when I had all the equipment, so the quality would have been considerably lower. So we thought we'd leave it until after lockdown, which we knew weren't going to be forever. And then now we're back. I am on my own today. I'm doing it remotely, as it is a championship-based video, which is not Matt's expertise. So Matt will be on the next podcast, which hopefully will be coming out on Wednesday. You're seeing us on Saturday. Wednesday we should have a podcast with the both of us, back to a usual routine. So on to today's video. So is the championship catching up with Super League? And I mean this in many ways, really, because it could be the quality of players, and I'm just going to give some examples of players that next season are moving down to the Championship from Super League. Some really experienced players who've played in Super League essentially the whole career. You've got Danny Kermond going to York, Danny Brough going to Bradford Bulls, Aaron Murphy going from Huddersfield to the Bulls. I'm going to even include some young players who've been announced this week going to Fev from various clubs. Harvey Spence from Leeds, a really hot prospect at Leeds, has gone and signed down for Featherstone. And I think I didn't want to just highlight older players and you'd be like, oh, well, they've passed it in Super League. Maybe that's what you might think. That's why they're going out to Championship. There's some young players who are thinking, I can get some good game time here and prove that I am worth Super League. And I think that shows that Championship is getting a lot closer to Super League. Also, Mitch Garbutt to Toulouse. What a player Mitch Garbutt is, really. Honestly, he's been renowned as one of the best props in the league maybe a year or two ago. I know injuries has hindered him, but now he's going down to Toulouse. You got Paul Clough from Huddersfield to Widnes. I know he's getting on a bit, and he has played for a good few clubs, but you've still got to think he still sees himself as able to sort of carry on his career in that league, not really hindering him, which I think is good. And I'm going to come on more to that, the financial side of it later on. There's a load more. Obviously, put some down in comments, other people. I have sort of just gone over a few popular ones that have been out in media. I know there is a load more, which just sort of proves the point even more, really. And it just shows players with a ton of Super League experience want to move down, and they don't feel that they're too good for the league, which I think, you look 10 years ago, I think some Super League players would have thought, Championship, it's essentially it was essentially looked down on as more like your amateur, not, that sort, not amateur, but it's not even in the same conversation, whereas now it is. And I think that is down to the Championship being much more commercialised now. Probably due to big teams playing in the league. For example, I am a Bradford fan, as many of you do know, but I'm not saying that where I'm not trying to big us up for anything, but when you've got teams like us coming down, London down in that mix, and then Lee have just got the financial backing to be better, and then Fev have as well, and it's us coming down made other teams have to raise the game. That first season when Bradford were down and we got straight into £1 million game, it were Bradford Lee 2-horse race essentially all season, whereas now, I'm saying, I'm a Bradford fan. We're last season we weren't in top 5. You know what I mean? We're not going to be it means other teams have raised the game. Also, a team like Toronto coming in as well has upped the commercialisation of the league 100%. Obviously, how close Championship and Super League are could be changed right now just due to the TV money. Because there's the whole situation of who's going to get more money. Are Super League going to take some of the Championship teams' chunk because the TV deal could be less this season? And that all does, people can say what they want. Everyone says, it's all down to the RFL uppers there. You need someone with a good financial backing who wants the game to go forward and ain't just there for a payday. I'm not going to comment too much on that because the facts out there. It's up for everyone to speculate. That could definitely affect this, because if, for example, if we get a bigger TV deal, if someone comes in and is right, I want at least one Championship game to be on TV every single week on Sky, along with the 3 Super League games that are on, that'd be perfect. That would be absolutely amazing, and that would give more of a platform for players to want to play in the Championship. I think players as well go there because they can potentially earn more from playing part-time and working a normal job rather than being full-time in Super League. That's obviously dependent on each individual player and different circumstances and stuff, but it definitely is a factor in why players are coming down to the Championship. I think in terms of on the pitch side of stuff, you can't say, Championship's taking Super League's players, which means they're catching up with them as such, because Super League are bringing in players from the NRL, whether they are older players, some younger, some in the prime, that sort of thing. It leads to players naturally having to filter out of Super League teams, and essentially Championship is the next step that they would go to. Dual Reds is also a thing that I wanted to touch on because I think a lot of people have differing opinions on it, and I think it can help improve the quality of the Championship through good players getting game time. I think Fev is a great example. People absolutely take the mick out of Fev, probably me included as being a Bulls fan, for rinsing the dual red, but honestly they make it work. They are as good as they are because of that, and they've established this great relationship with Leeds where they can, they've now signed some young players from Leeds and they'll have some on dual reg as well, and it helps. It can help both clubs if done properly. And I think what happens with Fev is they get the players pretty much every week, so that it's essentially a member of the squad. Whereas I think sometimes when it works wrong and kind of screws Championship clubs is when the Super League team sort of is giving the team one player, he's getting one game at the Championship club every month, and then he's like 20th man or something in squad for the Super League club, but still ain't getting game time. Like, if it works essentially as a loan, it can be really good. Look at a great example of loans dual reg helping Championship is look at Jordan Lilly at Leeds. He's come down. He's played for a good few teams in Championship. Obviously Bradford, the main one. He did get some loan games under his belt, and now he's playing full time. He's signed now, like properly at Bradford, and it shows that these young players come down and they realise that they can get good game time. And you know what I mean. Jordan Lilly could potentially still be at Leeds, and he might be like third choice halfback, and he might play 10 games a season, but he's playing every game. He's one of the main players in a Bradford team that are challenging for promotion. So honestly, I think that shows how much the Championship has come on in the last sort of 5-6 years, definitely. But then you can also look at how close is the gap really, because Championship team could bring through some good young players and showcase them, and then Super League teams could come and take them off, which has happened a lot. Personally with Bradford recently, Hull KR end of the last season came and took sort of 4 of our better players, which is just what's going to happen. You've got to expect that. Whereas I'm sure if we'd have got promoted, we would have kept them. So that's kind of the price you have to pay. But if you keep producing these players and showcasing players, it's just the gap is going to become closer. Although it's not a straight. I'm not sort of saying Super League's coming down because Super League are benefiting from the Championship being better as well, if you understand what I mean. In terms of the clubs themselves, I want to talk about teams such as York. I think that have done really well, like building a good foundation and sort of rebuilding the club up. And players want to go play there, and I don't blame them. The new stadium, everything. Ford as a manager, it's a great sort of up and coming club that I think can do things. And eventually, I would like to see them in Super League due to just how they're running the club. I just think it's a really good model. I think just to end on, I just want to say overall, I think the Championship is slowly catching up with Super League. The signings made for next season will help bridge that as well. Seeing players like Danny Bruffett Championship, people want to tune into that. Clubs, however, you've got to look at it. Is this the peak the Championship's going to be at? With teams such as Halifax, due to the pandemic, facing financial difficulties, what are they like? They've obviously lost a lot of players, and you don't want this to now mean. We had an 8-team race for top 5, really. 8, 9 teams. Me and Matt were speaking about it at the start of the season. This is going to be a really good Championship season. Obviously, never happened. But we do not want that to fall into like a top 5 because certain clubs just can't get the funds. Whether that is a Halifax who have struggled with it now, dropping down. And you don't want the gap. Back in the day, there used to be a gap between the top and the mid and bottom. That had started to slowly come down, where you'd usually have sort of maybe 8, 9 teams that could win it, 4, 5 that you thought they're probably not going to really challenge. You don't want that just to go to a 5 because it reduces the want for the league. For example, if you've got on last game of season 3 teams that can get that last playoff spot, people will tune in and watch that. Whereas if the top 5's already been decided at halfway through the season, what's the point in the season? Let's just get straight into playoffs. That's what you could fall into, which, English Premier League football makes that sort of thing work, but I think it's too low down the food chain, if you understand what I mean, for that to work. So it all depends on, honestly, I'd love to make this video again in a year's time and see how the next season championship goes. Because obviously we don't know what it's going to be like. We don't know if crowds are going to be allowed in. We honestly have no idea. But honestly, I would say, especially over the past 5-6 years, the championship has come on absolute leaps and bounds and is closer to Super League now than it was then. Whether it'll get closer or whether it'll slowly drift back away, who knows. But I hope you've enjoyed. Also, I think this is a good talking point. So any comments or anything on even on Facebook posts we've made about this, love a discussion. It's not, this video is not sort of trying to be controversial or anything like that. It's just speaking facts, and I'm interested in what other people are thinking. So hope you've enjoyed. We'll see you on Wednesday Foot Podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you later.